Universal Broadcasting Network.
'Cause you make me feel like I've been locked out of heaven.
A mix of today's hits and hard-to-find favorites, combined with the most entertaining and intriguing talk anywhere. This is your sound. This is the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at UENradio.com.
Hey, everybody, it is Wednesday, November the 12th. I'm Emerson Collins.
And I'm Del Shores.
And you're listening to The Del and Emerson Show.
Straight talk.
Real gay! Just sort of explosive today.
That was good, Emerson. You good? How are you doing?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Well, once again, we've created an overly ambitious show for ourselves, so we'll dive right in. Where the hell was Del this weekend?
I was in Palm Springs. It was Gay Pride there. You know, they wait till the temperature drops to 100, and then they have Gay Pride. It is so hot still down there. But I had great shows at the Copa. I had 2 shows there.
Nice.
And on my Friday show, Miss Bonnie Bedelia and Miss Ann Walker and Mr. David Steen were sort of a sorted reunion, so everybody was really excited to see them in the audience.
When are you buying property in Palm Springs? I feel like it's like the home away from home.
Well, they should give me some property. So
I feel like that's
waiting.
fair.
I'm just waiting for someone to hand me a lot with a trailer on it.
They could just build like a third story on the Camelot Theaters and build you like a penthouse up there.
Yeah, or just give me one of those storage rooms. I'm sure there's I don't mind. You say if they'll just put a shower in the bathroom, I'm good.
Right. That's all it would take.
Things are so easy these days. I'd like to get down there. I do love going down there.
Yeah.
And you're just stirring it up on the People's Couch. I got home and just vegged, and I was just watching. I was going from like The Voice to the People's Couch, and then I did a marathon after I saw the People's Couch of American Horror Story. I just sat down and plowed through all of them, and I have to say I loved the reaction of what's the family I love so much on your show? The Black
Zenos?
The Zenos.
Yes.
I just loved them watching American Horror Story.
I love them watching anything. Last night was really funny. We brought on a special cameo appearance from the cast of the Euros of Hollywood. It's a brand new Bravo show.
Right.
But it's only had 2 episodes air, so there was a significant amount of confusion among our fans as to who they are.
Well, Ann Walker was going off about it. She said she thought they were new cast members, and she was going off. She said, I don't like the new cast members.
It was funny because we, the 3 of us, weren't in the first 15 minutes of the show, which happens. We're not in every segment, and this time we just happened to not be in back-to-back segments at the top of the show. But so there were a number of fans who kind of thought that they were replacing us on Twitter for a while.
Ooh.
For about 10 minutes, we kept having to say no. I just answered it this way every time. I said, no, I couldn't decide what to wear, so we're arriving fashionably late in tonight's episode.
So y'all were just tweeting live.
Yeah.
Y'all at my house tweeting
Always
live.
do.
And last night we saw Miss Coco Peru, which was one of our guests on the show, and she was amazing. And what is this? Ann Walker is just bursting in with like,
look at Miss Ann Walker.
What is this? What are you breaking into our show just because you own the station? You think you have the right just to barge in? This is Ann Walker, everybody, just walked in. By the way, our guest today, Randall Kleiser, and Randall is directing the Penis Chronicles, which is right up your alley, Ann Walker.
I love the Penis Chronicles.
We'll have to go. And one of his cast is with us today, Ali Zahiri. I hope I say his name right.
You did, Ali Zahiri.
Good. All right. What's that number about?
This number,
that's certainly not your age.
95,475 is your total listening audience plus downloads. Plus downloads over the month of October.
Y'all, that's
Wow.
amazing. There are almost 100,000 of you crazy people listening to us.
Yeah.
I want 100,000. I'm so greedy. I want 100,000.
And you shall have it.
Oh, thank you, Ann, for
Yes.
those numbers.
We appreciate
We're very
you.
excited. You know, you're probably, well, actually you are the most highly rated group we have on the air. But anyway, doesn't stop you from listening to all the other good shows that we have. Mine, Tony's.
At 6 o'clock tonight is your show,
Yes.
and Tony's is right after
At
us
4
at 4
o'clock.
o'clock. That's
Right.
Pacific
So
Standard
I'll let
Time.
you get back to your wonderful show, but congratulations.
Will you sign that? And I'm gonna frame that.
Perfect.
I thought
Yeah.
I just saw the 95 when you walked in, and I thought it was your age. I was thinking she's finally coming
Well,
out with.
That's just rude. She's our boss.
That's just a rude rumor.
Rude.
It's a rude rumor that I started
Yes.
because I always say, lie up. It's more impressive.
Yes, okay.
All right,
Well,
thank
have
you,
a
Ann
great
Walker.
show.
We
I
love you.
Congratulations.
And we are so grateful to all of you who are listening. If you want to help us get across that 100,000 mark for the month of November, we would love that. So all of you who listen regularly, be sure that you share the ubnradio.com website with other people. Heck, sign some people up for some free iTunes downloads of the show and help us continue to reach more people. And we are grateful you are here.
And tell anybody who wants to advertise with us, we want sponsors. We want to start monetizing this show a little bit.
Yeah,
right?
we'll be real honest. We have to find some sponsors in order to continue doing the show next year. So if y'all have any ideas, you hit us up and let us know.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right. Well, let's go forward with, we've got, I always like to say, we have our equality expert and correspondent in the house, Emerson Collins. What's going on? A lot's going on, right?
That was my breaking news. That's way better. Because
Thank you, John.
Because in my mind, I'm like Anderson Cooper, like reading the news. All right, in our equality update, we'll get through this real quickly because those of you paying close attention know some of this. South Carolina was just overturned, but that what the result of that will be is on hold till the 20th of this month. Missouri's ban was ruled unconstitutional, but they're waiting to hear more. And Kansas now has a stay in place. So 3 states continuing on their journey. But the big news, something we talked about leading up to it, is that last week the 6th Circuit upheld the marriage bans in New York. That's so funny. That's supposed to be a K. In Kentucky, Tennessee, Michigan, and Ohio. And we talked a lot about this. This is maybe the big piece that we need for the Supreme Court to have to weigh in and rule on the case, because it's the first of the circuit-level courts to rule against overturning the marriage bans. And so now there's a conflict at the circuit court level, which will likely force the Supreme Court to take it up. And we may actually have a decision as early by the end of this session next June.
And Justice Ginsburg has already said that this is probably what they needed to hear the case. And you predicted this a long time ago. You thought the 6th Circuit was going to come in like that.
I'll be honest. I mean, it's not like I originated that idea. Many Supreme Court scholars have said so. I do want to read, Martha Craig Daughtry was the one judge who dissented, and she said, because the correct result is so obvious, one is tempted to speculate that the majority has purposefully taken the contrary position to create the circuit split regarding the legality of same-sex marriage that could prompt a grant by the Supreme Court and end the uncertainty of status and the interstate chaos that current discrepancy in state law threatens, which is a really fancy legal way of saying what we talked about. So
all right, awesome.
Hopefully it'll force the Supreme Court to rule, and that will go in our favor, and it will be law of the entire land.
And then we had a little bit of movement also in Missouri, right? Did you say that?
Yes.
And they're marrying people there, but not statewide, sort of like what they did in Arkansas and a couple of other states. So that may be go away very soon.
Well, they're at that same middle process, so we'll just wait and see.
All right.
And in continuing our equality update, I'm calling this new section the Russian Rainbow Rundown, because I'm sort of obsessed with the LGBT rights situation in Russia and the former Soviet republics that are under their influence. So this week, the foreign minister in Latvia came out as a homosexual on Twitter, which I just love. One, because I know that most Americans can't find Latvia on a map. It's over by Estonia, just on the border of Russia, if you were curious. But that he came out on Twitter.
It's right by where Sarah Palin's house, right? It's close by.
Yeah, totally the same.
It's across the street?
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm sure she thinks so. But it's very important because in Latvia, they are looking at adding a homosexual propaganda ban, just like the one that exists in Russia. Now that Russia has their ban in place, they're trying to influence the other former Soviet republics to institute similar laws. So this was a really big deal. And the president of Estonia, which is their next door neighbor, tweeted in support of him. And Estonia is the only former Soviet republic that actually has a civil union law. So.
Yeah, but the Russian deputy prime minister, Dmitry, it's like that hair product, Roganzine, he said he found something to be proud of, though if you have nothing else to be proud of, you can be proud of that. That's what he tweeted.
Yeah, it's funny that he means it as an insult, and I think it's yeah, totally. If you don't have anything else to be proud of, be proud of that. I'm gay.
Yeah.
Good for him.
And I just say, fuck him. Fuck that guy who's being mean. And all of them. And and then we had a big controversy in the
Yes,
in
and
the
similarly,
Russian,
so related to Russia, and when the Olympics were happening and everyone was paying so much attention to the LGBT people there and stopped, The Advocate has put Vladimir Putin on their cover with the title Person of the Year. But you need to see the photo, because where they put Person of the Year right under his nose in a very small square of black.
Yes.
As a wonderful bit of satire, making him the modern day Hitler.
And there were so many comments under there that people were so angry that he was Person of the Year. And yet the lead of the story said, driving the governmental, religious, and popular disdain for gays and lesbians, the Russian president became the single greatest threat to LGBTs in the world in 2014. So he earned it in such a negative way. Person of the Year doesn't mean that, we're going to give you, an award for being a great person. That's not what it means.
Yes. And, when then people said, Hitler, and it's so, I'm like, it is a very apt comparison. Hitler was an individual that used persecuting one particular group of people to unite everyone else. And that's exactly what Putin is doing as well. And the influence is far outside of Russia. There are a dozen other countries that he has influence over. So I think it was...
two thumbs up to the advocate.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
It was smart, and it was offensive in the best possible news-getting kind of way. And it's a subject that we talk about here on the show, and we need to keep talking about our LGBT brethren around the world.
And when you comment, people, don't be so fucking mean. I mean, we can argue. It happens on my Facebook all the time. You can argue with respect. You can have a differing opinion like we do sometimes, but you actually can argue with respect. And there's so much nastiness going on in these comments. Andy Cohen addressed that this week. So kind of stop. All right.
We will flash on through the gay news.
Okay. You love this story.
I did. This one's been sitting on the show list for a couple of weeks, and we're finally going to go ahead and get to it. Now, there is a very sad element to this story from the beginning. In Bangalore, India, a man was arrested and it may receive up to life in prison for gay sex. He was in an arranged marriage that he apparently refused to consummate. And the wife told the Bangalore Mirror every morning he would get up, use a face pack, and have a long shower. He would then go straight into his parents' room and sit down at his mother's makeup table. After applying a liberal coat of foundation and some other cosmetics, he would finish off with a touch of pink lip gloss and only then leave the room. So she put cameras into their home and used the videos to record him, and then she turned those videos over to the police to have her husband arrested.
And now he's in jail, right?
Yes.
I think this is a sad story. And first, when you're reading stories like this, every now and then, your lip goes up because there's a funniness or
my lip goes up. Let's be honest.
Okay,
my lip goes up.
Quite frankly, every now and then there's a story that Emerson just cannot read. He cannot do. I have to take it.
We have a story we keep not putting on the show because I can't talk about it without giggling, and it's terrible. So I'm a terrible person. Anyway.
All right, yes. And you know what? Let's just get rid of that story because I can do it in one sentence. It's about these guys that were beaten up for singing the songs from Wicked in Manchester, and Don't Laugh. And it was a horrible, horrible beating. And you made some comments about, well, perhaps they weren't singing very well, or
I'm just saying, not everyone was meant to sing Defying Gravity.
Yeah, but it was because they were gay and anyway, it was a hard story for us to get through, John. I mean, we just could not. It's a little bit humorous when you read this, and that he's sitting in a liberal coat of foundation and some other cosmetics. It's funny at first, but then the result was not funny. So.
Yeah, well, and tragic on so many levels. One, it shows the challenges of arranged marriages and cultures that do that, but also the kind of woman that would not just record the video and confront him and deal with their relationship. Like, she wants to sue his parents for falsely entering the arranged marriage because she believes that they already knew he was gay. And I have to be honest, if he was putting on foundation and lip gloss, they might have had a clue.
Yeah, but where it is illegal to be gay, you're not that gay doesn't exist supposedly. It's a crime. So the parents, what did they do wrong?
Right.
Really, according to their culture.
Right.
All right, let's move on. Segue right into Clay Aiken. You know what? Clay lost his bid for Congress recently in North Carolina, and he ran as a Democrat, and it's North Carolina. But in that, he has now gotten a 4-episode series commitment on the Esquire network. What's most interesting to me about this story is I think Clay was very smart because they tracked that from the very beginning. It wasn't like he lost and then they're starting the story. It was like they are going with his journey. So Clay Aiken, a lot of people are mean about Clay Aiken, and he had all that controversy with the sex stuff on the internet, which, I mean, by the grace of God, which one of us has not possibly been exposed? But I like Clay Aiken. I absolutely think he's making a difference. And I like him because when he was on Idol, there was a lot of stuff about him being Southern Baptist religious, and I know that he had the same journey as many of us, and he came out very loudly, and he has made a difference in our community. So I'm going to watch your reality show, Mr. Aiken.
And you can say whatever you want, but he's smart and he's talented. When he put out that first commercial for this campaign, and it was a 5-minute uninterrupted shot where he did not stumble over his words once, he knows what he's talking about and is really strong, especially in education. And he was running in a Republican district. It was not likely he was going to win. But I think it'd be really fascinating to see the process of what it takes for someone who doesn't have a life in politics to enter the political arena. So it might be very informative. And hopefully he sings like a great theme song for his reality show.
I love his quote. He said, "The result did not go the way we wanted it tonight, but we've walked down this path once or twice before when about 11 years ago after American Idol, we came up with short in the vote. We found reason to be happy," and he outsold Ruben Studdard, if I remember correctly. So good for you, Mr. Aiken, and continued success. Oh, and we have one of our favorite people making the news. Miss Kathy Griffin is taking over. It's official, right? Mm-hmm. She's taking over Fashion Police.
Yes, which is perfect. I love it because I'd love to know what happened behind the scenes, because there's that alleged rumor that because of the crap that's gone on between her and Ryan Seacrest, that she's been banned from E! For forever because Ryan took over all of their, production stuff. So I'd love to know what it took to make this happen between the two of them.
I do hear that there was a complete, because I know one of the writers or several of the writers who were on or were with Joan, and I know that they're cleaning house completely. So it doesn't look like any of the old staff is back, except I think Melissa. I think she wants her own team to make it her own show.
Well, and I think they need to. I mean, it was Joan and her team. If somebody else steps in, then it seems like you're trying to imitate Joan instead of taking the spirit of what Joan did and doing it around Kathy's tone and perspective.
Well, it will be interesting. It will, and it is a smart replacement.
And she's one of the only
you can't
people.
Replace Joan, but it is a smart.
Well, and I mean, Joan made it possible for Kathy to do what she does, and it's very much in the same vein of being truly able to poke the most important and powerful people in entertainment. And I cannot wait to hear what unfiltered Kathy Griffin has to say.
And I can't wait to see who the other co-hosts are on there, because you know what's really weird? I was thinking about that because we were talking, Emerson, and we know somebody, someone really well that's being considered, and we can't say anything about it. But I was thinking, if you're on that show, you could take a real beating yourself for what you're wearing. It would just change your whole, it would fuck me up.
Yeah.
I could not even go to the gym in the tank top and the awful shorts I go anymore if I were sitting there criticizing other people.
Oh, anytime people criticize you, all you have to do is say, do as I say, not as I do. The end, and move on.
You handle it better. You handle it really well. I mean, people tweet about your
my hair
all the time.
That's people always ask, what do people tweet about on the People's Couch most? But every once in a while we get somebody who doesn't watch the show who talks about us being gay stereotypes. But we took care of that a couple of weeks ago because Scott said something. We were talking about our Halloween costumes, and I said I enjoy reinforcing stereotypes, and they used it on the show, and I was like, that's my answer.
There you go. Embrace it all.
Yes.
Oh, and then we've got What's Gay in Music, and I have to say, I am kind of loving Nick Jonas lately.
Me too.
Because do you have that picture up there, John? Let the people at home know we have some visuals going on of Nick Jonas. And, I love that he is embracing his gay audience. And there's so many gay artists who are so scared of that. And next story is a little bit like that. But I love that he's saying, you know what? I'm going to embrace this. I'm hot. I know who finds me hot besides the girls. The gay men do. He is booking so many gigs because of that photo. Did you know that? I mean, he's like at Pride's now, and all the gay clubs are booking him. So good for you, Nick Jonas. I'm really glad that you have come out as a supporter of our community and that you love performing for us.
Yes. Well, yeah, and he's got a brand new TV show called Kingdom on DirecTV, and there was a big old hot sex scene that's making the rounds of the internet, and he has alluded a number of times that there might be some bisexual activity from his character at some point. But it's funny because what is happening is what is always happens. So he comes and courts the gay community, and everybody's like, yay! And then some people are like, he's trying too hard to impress us. And I'm like, you can't win for trying sometimes with our community.
Not with our community. It's back to what, the quote, I'd like to bring it in next week because I didn't get it, but what Andy Cohen Cohen said about he doesn't read comments anymore. It's hard for me, and I know that you have that same issue because people are just fucking mean. I mean, they are so mean. I've got to stop. I mean, on your Facebook page, you have to read your comments. But if they write an article about you and then, about, let's just say your divorce, and then it's just nastiness. It is just like, let's celebrate whatever.
Yep.
All right. What else we got?
No, we're gonna have to. Which one of these do you want to do?
I want to do. I think let's save Eminem and go to One Direction.
All right.
Because you have a real good take on this, and I like that.
For those of you who don't know, I'm a little bit of a secret directioner. Inside, a fan of One Direction from the very first time with that silly, ridiculous little song and when they performed at the Olympics, and I love them. But so this week there was an article published, and Louis Tomlinson, who is one of the 5 boys, responded on Twitter at the writer of the article and said, "I am in fact straight. The fact that you work for such a credible paper and would talk such rubbish is laughable. I am in fact straight. Google original Apple logo and you will see the one printed on my t-shirt you reported on. I guess you're trying to look for a promotion." He showed up for a taping of the X Factor wearing the original Apple logo on his shirt, the rainbow one, a couple of days after Tim Cook came out. And so this entire article was just speculation about whether Louis was showing support for Tim Cook, the CEO. Now, the sort of American media has been like, why did he overreact? This is so crazy. But what people who aren't crazy fans like me don't know is that within the One Direction fan base, there is an obsessive subset of people who believe that Louis, and Harry Styles are in a relationship and that their management have been keeping it secret from the beginning of the band. There is nothing. You can go on YouTube and watch like 20-minute videos where they've pulled together like clips of them touching each other or holding hands or silly, cheeky comments they've made. And by the end of a 20-minute video, you'd be convinced these boys are having a secret love tryst.
Which ones now?
Harry, the one with the crazy hair,
right,
is the lead,
okay.
And then Louis, that's the older one. He's the sort of twinkier looking one.
Okay.
So the point, he didn't overreact just because the UK papers speculate about it all the time too.
He's fed up.
And so they wrote an entire article about a rainbow on his shirt, basically, to hint at that and sell papers based on this rumor of their relationship. So some people are like, he's overreacting and now he sounds homophobic. Why would it matter if he's gay? But it's like, the point is he isn't. Of that being said, not because it's wrong.
Well, and I told you that years and years ago, Alonso Duralde, our friend who was on our show, he did an interview with me and Olivia Newton-John, and I got to interview Olivia, and I said, it's time that you talk about the rumors. And she addressed them for the first time because she had had many for years being rumors about being a lesbian, and she said something that was really powerful to me. She said, Del, would you like to be accused of being straight at this time of your life? And I said, no, I would not. And she said, I love the gay community. I embrace the gay community. I love them. I support them. They support me. But that is not true. So I do not. So she had never spoken about it. She didn't say anything until that moment.
Yeah.
But, she is a straight woman, and there was a Johnny Carson episode. People got a little mixed up and fueled the rumor.
Yeah. Well, so, all right, flashing on. Now, this story is really, Dell's just indulging me in the story because I think it's so ridiculous and it doesn't have anything to do with real news, but I will share the details of it with you. Megan Hoatling, a 31-year-old, broke into her husband's friend's house and tried to perform fellatio on him. The man told the deputies that he awoke to find her straddling his legs in her underwear. Then he, quote, felt the offender place his penis in her mouth. He ordered her to leave, and she refused, so he called 911. She's charged with felony burglary with the intent of committing sexual assault. And the reason I find this story is hilarious is, can you imagine that 911 call? Like, hello, I'd like to report an emergency. Sir, what's your emergency? There's a woman in my house, and she's trying to give me a blowjob, and I don't like it.
there have been so many times I've wanted to do this very same thing, but sometimes you just have to practice sort of restraint, right, John? You cannot act upon these things, but who of us have not wanted to break into someone's house and give them a blowjob? I mean, who?
I gotta be honest, you need to want it for me to care. Like, I'm not willing to work that hard. But I also want to know the backstory, because her husband's best friend's house, like, I want to know what she's mad at her husband about.
I want to know what she's on. That's what I want to know. What is she fucking on? She's got to be on something. That's a brave act.
That's some modern day Medea shit. Like, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna force a blowjob on my husband's best friend. And let's be honest, like, she also must not be incredibly desirable, shall we say? If he was,
I'd like to see a picture.
If he was like, no, you need to stop, and then she wouldn't stop, because we've all been like, whatever, just finish and get out. and that he had to call 911. I mean,
You think he called the husband next? She's over here.
that's awkward.
She's just, Megan's at it again. She's trying to blow me. You got to come get her.
Come get your wife. All right. Anyway, just wanted to share.
Checking in with crazy.
Yes,
we
do it.
have to do this next story. Oh, Marcus Bachman.
Lisp
is
that S
back
a little
in-
harder.
Marcus, can you do it for me?
Marcus
Willem did it so well in Sissies, which is out on DVD. Breaking Glass picture released yesterday. Southern Baptist Sissies, don't miss it. But Marcus Bachman has defended his ex-gay therapy clinic. You know, here's what I cannot understand about this man. He protests too much. Do you have that picture of him up? Which one do you have? Put them both up, because there's one of him just looking as gay as possible. Yes, and then now hit the other one where he is sucking on a corn dog. This is a crazy... This is just... Is it a great picture, John? So I am completely intrigued with... He says, once the far left understood that we were actually creating a safe place, a place where people who said... I have this issue with the same sex attraction, this desire. I am a believer. I am a person of faith, and it is conflicting with my family values. He has created a place so other homosexuals can come and suck his cock. That's what I'm convinced.
I don't know.
And Michelle, you are not welcome. I'm going to help these boys. I'm going to help them. We're going to do some masturbation therapy and think about women all together.
I feel like if we're being realistic, it's probably just a lot more of like hugs that linger too long.
I don't know. There was this church here right here that Leslie Jordan and I went to see Dottie Rambo perform, and Tammy Faye Baker and Pastor James. He had some frosting tips going on, and Leslie Jordan calls me one day after we went to this revival. Levi Christ went, and he said, "Go get the Inquirer. Pastor James is on the cover," and he had this group for gay boys that wanted to not be gay, and he was actually doing masturbation exercises with them one-on-one. Wow. And some of them complained and turned him in. Anyway, I'm just saying, I've not been there. I have not been there, but
well,
Marcus,
now that Michelle's leaving Congress, that they're going to have a lot more time together, maybe she'll have to get back to work.
All right, what else do we have, Mr.?
Let's fit this one in real quick because it's too funny. We've talked a lot about that crazy Harlem church with the billboard out front where they put all sorts of nonsense with the anti-LGBT billboard. Well, 2 weeks ago, the pastor asserted that Starbucks is now ground zero for Ebola because the company released its first LGBT commercial starring the phenomenal drag queens from RuPaul's Drag Race, Bianca Del Rio and Adora Delano. One, you should see the commercial. It's amazing. But yes, I love that drag queens mean Ebola. But his most recent quote is my favorite. It says, Starbucks is a place where these types frequent and a lot of body fluids are exchanged there. But the thing that I was not aware of is that there has been information that has been released. What Starbucks was doing is they were taking specimens of male semen and they were putting it in the blends of their lattes. Now, this is the absolute truth. Can you imagine? I knew that you could order everything at Starbucks. These people who get up, I'd like a venti, soy, green tea, gluten-free, 180-degree latte with a splash of semen.
I'll be right back.
Oh, hold on. Do you want that fresh, or is this going to be iced and I can use one of the samples from the freezer?
Boys, we're out of semen. We need everybody to stay after school.
Somebody get back there and get to work.
Oh, but I love that he said that this information has been released.
Be like, apparently more than information has been released.
I did Google to see if there was any information that had been released about semen in any lattes, and it just so all you people know, no, it is not true. It is not true. This is bullshit.
I regularly frequent the big gay Starbucks in West Hollywood, and they have never offered a semen latte. So,
well, it could be.
If they were going to, I just feel like
it could be a selling point.
If they were going to test it, they would test it there. All right, well, let's jump on and bring in our special guest.
Yes, we're so
we?
excited to have Randall Kleiser with us today, one of his cast. He's directing a play here at the same playhouse I've directed at, the Coast Playhouse. Emerson produced Yellow there with me. It's a great theater, and I'm excited to go this Friday. So we right after this break, we will have Randall Kleiser and his cast. What's his name?
Ali Zahiri.
There we go. I was just
going to let you fluff through those papers. I was like, I'll wait. All right, we'll be right back.
He's very hot, so you guys come back and
yeah, you should log on and watch online because he is a beautiful man.
All right, we'll be right back.
So I'm playing It Gets Better.
be a soul who thinks that it's the end. A broken will's the hardest thing to mend. But try to understand. I know you're hurting, I can see your pain, but you've got a future where there's no more shame. You're a miracle in spite of what they say. And you'll see a bright new day, 'cause it gets better. It gets better. It gets better. They said that you would never belong. They lied and told you that you're weak and they are strong. They put that loaded metal in your head, but I can help you understand. Yeah, I know you're hurting, I can feel your pain, but you've got a future where there's no more shame. You're a miracle in spite of what they say. And you'll see a brighter day, 'cause it gets better. Oh, it gets better. It gets better. 'Cause you'll find some home, you are not alone. Today is your time, you'll be better than fine. Love is right there, just let go of your cares. I know that you are almost there. Seize that bright new day. Rise with me and say, I once was hurting, consumed with pain.
Okay, listen, this is Leslie Jordan. Y'all come see me. I've got a one-man show called Fruit Fly that's running at the Renberg Theater in December, the 4th through the 21st. It's directed by David Galligan, and it answers the age-old question, do gay men really become their mothers? No, okay.
All right, we're back, and that was our friend Leslie Jordan, so y'all go see his play, and we've got other theater in town. We've got Randall Kleiser with us today, who is directing, I love the title, The Penis Chronicles, and also with him,
Actor and one of the stars, Ali Zahiri.
he says it so much better than I do. I'm scared now, I'm intimidated.
He is. He keeps looking at it.
It's very, very fluent.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very good.
Right?
Good job.
Thank y'all for coming in to our show. We appreciate it. I'm looking forward to seeing the show on Friday night. How was opening weekend?
Wonderful. You know, we got great response from everyone, and we had a great party at the Abbey. They had a big sign-up, welcome Penis Chronicles cast, and little around the fireplace we had vodka and champagne. It was fun, huh?
Yeah.
Isn't it a horrible feeling and a good feeling at the same time, Randall, when you just, like with a movie, you edit and you don't know. I mean, you go, they may fuck up, and my work is done, right? And you can't do anything.
It's very frustrating.
Yeah. Where did you stand at the coast? Were you in the audience, or were you in the...
I sat like way over on the left so I could see the audience reaction. You know, that's kind of fun to see where the laughs hit
Right.
and all that.
Give us our listeners an overview of what is the show.
Well, it's 8 monologues by 8 very different men, ranging from a 16-year-old boy to a 67-year-old man, and in the middle is Roman, played by Ali, and he's a male prostitute who services women and men, and he comes from Wall Street, and he gave that up because... Why did he give it up?
Because he wasn't finding fulfillment in the monetary world of Wall Street.
So now he's fulfilled by men, women, all of the above.
By connecting with people.
Is it attention? Is he an exhibitionist? Is it
I think he's just searching for more in life.
Uh-huh.
So he left the world of Wall Street because he wasn't finding what he needed. So he uses the people around him to find the meaning of connection, which is really what it comes down to for him.
And what kind of research did you do for this role?
It's really fun.
And is it over?
A lot of hands-on.
They're perfect.
A lot of
I feel
hands-on
like
research.
this is a good method opportunity.
One of the great things is that Ali, this whole show breaks the fourth wall, and the actors all talk to the audience, and so Ali gets down and he connects eye contact with people and says these amazing lines like,
Yeah, so throughout the play, I'm just making eye contact with people and talking to them personally. It's like I have a conversation with people, and these people have no idea what I'm about to say. So you build up these monologues and these lines, and all of a sudden you get to a line where, yeah, well, I'm fucking you and making you orgasm.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
And
right now, I feel it.
Now, where do you deliver this? So I'd like to sit at that in that
Usually
particular
front
seat.
and center.
'Cause
Perfect.
I'll
front and
just
center.
get right on the stage. I mean, with that, it's almost like an invitation, right?
Yeah, it's funny too. And on one of the nights, wherever my eyes fall on that line, I have to deliver it. I can't really change. But one of the nights, there was this like 15-year-old kid, and I felt right. I was like, oh no! I kind of
Shift that focus.
But I was like, can't do it to you.
but
Sorry.
usually who do you connect with?
And usually it's the oldest man in the world that decides to sit right there. So I sit there and I have to say that line to him, and you just got to commit to it. And they look stoic for a second, but as soon as you say it, they can't help but to smile every time. They laugh.
Why not?
You
Now,
know?
is there male nudity in this show?
Yeah.
Yes, there is.
There
Wait,
is.
there better be.
I mean,
Yeah.
you're right in West Hollywood. When we were doing Southern Baptist Sissies, the word got out where you could actually see things, and literally you open the door and
People
you
would
would
fight?
see people rushing to the far side of the theater and sitting right by the pastor's office.
That's great.
So, well, Randall, I have admired you and loved your career forever, and
And
we
mine
have,
you.
and we
Me
have.
you.
Yes, we
Yeah.
met. We
Yeah.
met the same. You came to see Sordid Lives at Outfest. That's the
Right.
night that we met, and we share the amazing Olivia Newton-John,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you, of course, had a little bigger movie than I did with
Just
her.
a bit.
She's exactly the way you imagine her, isn't she? I mean,
She-
when the way she comes across on film is the way she is.
She is. I always say Olivia is her image. She is so lovely and sweet and down to earth, and the superstardom goes away very quickly.
Absolutely.
Well, I told that Olivia was the guest on our very first show. She was very sweet and called in, and I told her this story, so I feel like I should tell it to you. Grease, for me, in high school, was the movie that my girlfriend and I would make out to, but we would stop to sing the songs. So someone should have known. That's
Well,
my
that would
true
be
confession.
That would be a sign. Yes, you're right.
Well, that when you did Grease, I mean, did you have any idea? Did you what?
we didn't. It had been a hit on Broadway, but we didn't know the movie would work. And there were two movies being shot at the same time, Sgt. Pepper and Grease, and they had a wrap party where they had mounds of champagne, mounds of caviar and shrimp and champagne at the other wrap party, and we had hot dogs and hamburgers because they just thought this was a little picture that wasn't going to work, and that was the one that was going to be the big hit.
Yeah.
Well, I remember watching it. I was in college when it came out, and I remember rushing. I remember watching it alone, just going like in the middle of the day, seeing Grease. And I tell Olivia, I was so in love with her. She kept me straight for 2 decades. And then I also realized that John Travolta had a profound effect on me, going back about 15 times. But how did this was your first movie? I mean,
Yeah.
this iconic, huge movie that you start with. How did you get it?
Well,
I mean,
I directed John and Boy in the Plastic Bubble, and so he asked for me.
Wow.
He said, "Who do you want to direct this?" He said, "I want Randall," so that's how I got it.
Which I love that movie too. That was one that I really, really loved. I mean, John Travolta was so hot. Just anybody with
Great guy.
We let our fans ask questions, and then we'll ask one about this and talk about. Dennis Burlingham asked, "What was your best memory of filming Grease? What part of that?"
I think doing the drive-in scene where we lined up the hot dog jumping to the bun, because it was
Yes.
done that night. I had no idea what we were going to do. I just had a bunch of trailers, animated things like that, and I ran them all and said, "Wait, look at that. Why, can we back that up, and can we sync it to the end of the song?" And God, you'd never do that today, everything would be planned out, but it was kind of like just thrown together.
Is it true that Olivia demanded a screen test?
Yes. She had done a movie in England that was not successful. A sci-fi.
Tomorrow, right?
Yeah, a sci-fi movie, and she didn't want to do a bad movie, another bad movie. So she wanted to make sure that John and she had chemistry and that she looked good, and so we did a special lighting rig to make her look as young as possible because she was playing 18 and she was 28 at the time. So she saw the test and said, yeah, okay, I feel comfortable and we'll do it.
I have a complete random because I'm fascinated by this. With your long history of knowing George Lucas, this thing about this high-def IED training program that you created. Can you explain? Because that's so fascinating how it translates from creating this new way of directing and capturing stuff on film that suddenly leads to being involved with the government.
Well, it's because I did Honey, I Shrunk the Audience at Disneyland, which is an interactive thing where there's movement and things spray at you. So the Army came and asked me if I would do a simulator for soldiers going to Afghanistan. And we built a Humvee, an actual Humvee on motion base that moves like it's driving along. We have movie screens all around, so when you're inside it, you look at all around and it looks like you're traveling, and there's a sound of the Humvee, and you're looking for bombs in the road ahead, and if you go around them, you move to the next level. It's like a video game, but it's a very big, expensive video game. And then eventually you hit a bomb and you blow up, and the whole thing shoots in the air, the loud noise, smoke, a little ringing afterwards, like in your ears, and it's so that the guys can go through it, and when it happens to them, they don't freak out. They don't stagger out of the Humvee and get hit by snipers, or if their buddy is cut his legs off and is going, bleeding, they can not just freak out, they can fix it, and it's been very successful.
It's a fascinating sort of real-world, practically useful application of something you guys came up with for just the creative experience at the theme parks.
Right. Well, yeah, it's great to know that it saved some lives.
Yeah, I love that.
I do too. You also directed one of my favorite gay movies, It's My Party, and which had Olivia had a little cameo in it. It wasn't a big role, but that was you wrote that as well.
I did.
Right?
I wrote that, and I'm doing a play version of it.
That's what you told me the other night.
So if Penis Chronicles does well,
it certainly should. Everyone should be going to see it.
I hope they come see it and see Ollie. Then I want to see if I can launch that next.
And this is this was based somewhat on your life experience, correct?
Yes, it was back in the days when if you got AIDS, it was a death sentence, and several people were having these kind of parties. One of them was this good friend of mine, and he had a party to say goodbye to all his friends, and then at the end he took pills and killed himself. So
wow.
It was a heavy experience, and so I knew I had to make a movie about it, because it was anybody who went through it was like scarred, or it was like
well, and it's interesting, but tonight it's really timely, and I think could have a huge appeal beyond the LGBT aspect, because there was just the story of that girl, with the brain tumor who did the same thing. She got her affairs in order and said, I'm going to plan this my way. So I think there could be a really interesting conversation to be had from this piece as a play.
I think it would be a great play. It's
a period of history now.
It is a period of history. You've got that one set, that one great set. That you filmed it at your house, didn't you?
Some of it, yeah. And then we built a set for his house, because he.
By the way, I was just playing. Emerson makes fun of me because I speak Spanish. Puerto Vallarta, and next up at the theater where I was performing was Gregory Harrison and Linda Pearl in Love Letters.
Oh, great!
And he looked amazing.
He looks great. Yeah,
he's aged well, as we say. He's aged well.
He has.
He's held up well. That's what we say up in the South.
John McCormick asked, "What would be your?" These are my favorite questions because you get them all the time. But what's your advice for an aspiring director?
Director? Well, start directing. I mean, if you have an iPhone, you can make shorts and then have a YouTube channel and just make a whole bunch of different types of shorts and put them on your YouTube channel. Then get a card with your name and your picture and your YouTube channel and your number and your email address and hand it out to everyone you meet.
That is a very specific, well done, modern, of the moment answer. I love how.
Well, I mean, I talk about this all the time because I teach actors lately, and I say there is, in Allie, there's no excuse anymore for not having a reel. There's no excuse for not saying, oh, I haven't had the opportunity, because you can create the opportunity. We have such the technology, and you all get together and you just do it. And I am always advising young filmmakers, you don't have to wait. You know, you can just.
And actors too. Do you have a reel?
Absolutely, yeah. We actually, I'm filming my own web series, and you got to create your own content nowadays. You can't just sit around and wait for someone to put you in something.
That's right.
If you don't be proactive, you're not going to be successful.
Well, I directed, I produced a play a couple of years ago, or three. Emerson was in, called The Boomerang Effect, and I had so many people on Facebook, because I say, if you do it right, if you say, hey, I'd like to audition for this, I can't get the opportunity through the casting director. I said, send me your reel and let me look. There was about 7 or 8 people who did that, and only 4 of them had reels, and they were the only ones who got the opportunity, because I then sent 2 of them, because the other ones, I mean, you just don't have time anymore.
You know, we cast this whole movie online. Everybody, we sent them the sides. We saw their pictures or their reels, and we sent them the sides, and then they taped themselves with their iPhones and sent them to us. We didn't have any agents. We just went straight to the actors.
Yeah, it was great. It was such a great experience to be able to audition for it and then go to Randall's house and do it in front of him. It was just crazy awesome.
I'm curious too, because with the structure, obviously, there's the reference to the vagina monologues, but in the rehearsal process, so was it you one-on-one with each of them, just session by session and working up to the performance?
They don't interrelate, so it's all one-on-one.
And for you, but when we did Southern Baptist Sissies with the monologues to the audience, is such a different kind of acting from being in a play and scene work where you know what the other person's going to do. But for you with a monologue, every audience, they're the other side of the conversation. So your journey through the monologue is different depending on how they respond, isn't it?
It is, yeah. A lot of times you'll deliver these lines to people and you're making direct eye contact with them, and they'll give you nothing.
Right.
They won't smile, they won't do anything, but at that moment you have to realize that you're playing a character, and you have to stay in that character, and you just truck through it to the next person, and eventually you'll always find someone that will give you something to work off of.
Yeah.
Someone there is always going to react to something you say.
Well, some casting directors give you nothing too.
Yeah.
So you just have. I always say, look at those eyes. There's got to be something in those. But when I was directing Sissies, I found that I say, just find someone to connect with, and then people it's so awkward for them. They just look down or they look away, like I don't want to. Don't choose me. Don't choose me.
Did they do that to you?
Yeah, all the time.
They look down?
Yeah, they look away, but I will not break. I will make them look at me, and I will deliver that line
this
to them.
Friday night. I want you to take their chin and make them look at your eye. And you walk right up and say, "Look at me when I'm talking to you."
I think your actual director might have something to say about that.
Just for fun.
Yeah, we'll just try it. We'll give it a go.
The critics have all come, so just have some fun with it.
But keeping it fresh. As
Randall,
they
I want
say.
to ask one other thing, going back to the direction and giving advice, because I used to when I was an actor, I studied with Joan Darling, and guess who was in my class one time?
Who?
Steven Spielberg.
What?
He took Joan Darling's acting class because he wanted to learn to direct actors better, and he felt like he could not do that without being an actor. And so people were like, who's going to do a scene with Steven Spielberg? It was so...
Oh, he was already known, you mean?
Yes.
Oh.
And ironically, not that particular class, but that's the reason I know Olivia, because Rona Newton-John was in my first acting class with Joan Darling.
Oh, well,
so a lot of people came into that. Great. She was a wonderful coach. But I just love that he did that.
Yeah.
And this was after lots of success.
Really?
Yeah. I mean...
How was he as an actor?
He was okay. Yeah. I mean, he committed to it, and I think he only went up once, because you were required to go up once. But a lot of times you went up more than that if you were popular in the class. Yeah. And he chose to do one scene only. But
I had studied with Nina Foch, my mentor.
And you did a documentary on that.
Yes, I did it's a whole course for filmmakers and actors. Nina Foch, www.ninafochcourse.com. And you can take a whole semester of this wonderful acting and directing teacher.
I love how eclectic everything has become for you. You follow the passion, don't you?
Yeah. I loved her. She was fantastic, and I knew her for 40 years, and really got to know her. And she was such a good teacher that I wanted to record her stuff.
What excites you in an actor? What makes you jump up and say yes?
I think it's just the way they come across, the passion that they have for the material, and you know, a feeling that they can communicate to you. You know, they're not just saying the lines; they're getting across the feeling to you.
Yeah, they're living them.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you don't know though. I many times I tell actors, I go, we don't know. Sometimes we don't even know what we want, but you have to show us what we need.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's good to let them bring you stuff too, rather than just clamp your ideas on them.
Did you enjoy directing on stage?
Yeah, I have. The thing that I don't like is that once it starts, I can't say, take that line again, and a little louder, or, that's the one frustration.
Yes, it's live theater. There are a lot of things can go crazy wrong.
Yep.
And right.
Yes, they can.
What's the worst thing that happened to you when you were doing theater?
Probably the lights. Like one time, I remember there's a couple of things. Audience members being drunk was a horrible thing, and I had to say, an actor, David O'Halvo, I believe you were in that production.
Yeah.
He literally stopped the show and he said, "This play means so much to me, and you're disrupting the show, and I have to ask you to leave."
And did he leave?
And they said, I'm sorry, we didn't realize. But I mean, they're at the Zephyr and they're just talking as if they're, in a movie.
Wow.
And they were very, very intoxicated. The other time is, because the lighting is now on computer,
Right.
it got mixed up. And so it was just lighting the wrong section. And I stopped the show.
Did you?
I walked out on stage and I said, we have to reprogram because this is not right for you guys.
Oh.
And I said, I'm in the movie business. And so I walked back out and I go, take two. And
Oh, that's good
got
to know.
Right
That's
back.
good. If something terrible goes on, I know what to do now.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
So anything else we have for these wonderful men besides we're going to go see their plays, and their play, and want everybody to go
Yes.
to penuschronicles.net.
It is running now.
It's in-
ThePenisChronicles.net, yes.
Fridays and Saturdays at 8 o'clock, Sundays at 3 and 7 through December the 14th.
That's it.
Mr.
Please
Kleiser,
come. Please
Mr.
come.
Zahiri,
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah,
pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes,
thanks.
they're actually behind that.
no,
They're
right.
right
Oh.
behind
Yeah,
there.
our studio audience, so they're behind a screen.
There's actually only 5 of them, but we've taught them to clap very quickly and loudly.
That
So
was
next
great.
up is the Tony Sweet Show, and after that we have the amazing Miss Ann Walker, and we will see y'all next week.
As always, thanks for listening. You can download the show at iTunes, and please let others know about the show and tune in, and we will see you next Wednesday.
Yes, we will. Goodbye, everybody.
When does it go on iTunes?
Welcome to the new sound of online radio. Welcome to the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network.
You make me feel like I've been locked out of hell.
A mix of today's hits and hard-to-find favorites, combined with the most entertaining and intriguing talk anywhere. This is your sound. This is the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at UBNradio.com.